call the meeting. Today is Wednesday, October 25th, 2023. It's 5 p.m. and we are having our DDA meeting. So for now, we will stand up and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
First time I've done that in a while. Oh, yeah, well, I haven't done it since yesterday.
Brian, are you going to do roll call today?
Sure, I can, yep.
Thank you.
Let me just pull up the agenda.
And we have some new faces too.
Yes.
So we should do some introductions too.
Mr. Zatuna,
Here.
Supervisor Aliaga,
Here.
Ms. Harper,
Here.
Mr. Gittens,
Here.
Ms. Petzold,
Here.
Trustee Morocco,
Here.
Mr. Milzo,
Yes.
and Mr. Yankee is absent, and also Mr. Neiman is absent.
All right, very good. So next order of business is the approval of the minutes. And that's from last week. Was that our last meeting that we had?
We have nothing on the agenda
We've got nothing on the agenda. Okay.
for minutes.
So I make a motion to approve the minutes?
There is no minutes.
No?
There are no
Okay,
minutes.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, no minutes.
Well, we do have some new faces here, Gus and Kendall. So do you guys mind making maybe 60 seconds to just introduce yourselves?
I'm sure most of the people of the town knows me, but I'm Gus from Zaytuna's Liquor on Dixie Highway. I own a shop in Independence Township, and I joined the board, see however I can help the community. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Gus.
Hi, I'm Kendall Petzold. I'm the executive director of the Clarkston Chamber. I grew up in this community between Ortonville and Clarkston, and I have been at the Chamber since July of 2019. And this past June, I was made the executive director of the Chamber. So happy to be here.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So the next line.
Chairman?
Yes.
I'm not sure everybody has met Forrest Mills though, but you know, the owner of Beer Lake Racquet Club and
That's true.
one of the original members of the Downtown Development, original chairman of the Downtown Development Authority.
Well, I think seniority-wise, I've probably got the most seniority of anybody around.
I think you do.
I've been in business in the area here for over 50 years, and have enjoyed every year of it, and been very honored to have Dick call me up and or Jose call me and said, "Come over here tonight." I don't know how well I'm qualified. I'm always on the other side fighting.
Not true.
Well, we're pleased to have you. Thank you. So there's a couple of items that we're going to talk about today. The next line item is presentation. Is that something that you're going to go over, Mr.
There
Crowley?
won't be any tonight. We'll just delve into everything on item I, which is reports, resolutions, and recommendations. And that will be, we'll talk about scheduling and activities at that point, so.
Okay. On our second page, Mr. Carlisle had made some recommendations what we should discuss this evening. The DDA will begin capturing the TIF revenues, approximately $122,000. Is that an annual?
Yes, and that will be over 2 periods of tax collection, well, 3 periods actually. It
Okay.
will be the winter taxes that are collected, well, I'll have to check that, but it will be summer and winter taxes. And so it's an estimate, but we're thinking, we believe it'll be around $122,000 next year. It will grow to 218 the following year and continue on from there. So you have pretty healthy capture projected, over that entire period of projection up to 2038, and, Forrest may be here, but I won't be here, 2038. Maybe, right? Over that whole period, I mean, we will capture in excess of $6 million, if not more. this doesn't really include a lot of developmental values, but we have a number of vacant properties that actually do develop, and that they're not really vacant, but redeveloped properties. You're gonna see a substantial increase in tax capture. So we're looking at a fairly, and so now it is important that with the knowledge that we are gonna start capturing these revenues next year. The board has approved an advance, correct, Sam? Did the board approve an advance last night?
For, you mean more meetings? We approved, yes, we approved something for the DDA
Yeah,
last
for
meeting,
the-
yes.
for the rest of
We
this
already.
year.
For the rest of this
Yeah.
year.
Rest of
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah,
But
so
next
enough for
year, we'll
another,
probably be able to start operating off of our own revenues, okay?
Mhm.
So that's why it's important for the next, for us to, for you to start deciding, one, how often you want to meet, and two, what in the outset you wish to pursue. And I've made some suggestions in my memo, but that will be up to you.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Sam.
Is the Bigsby's in our district? Do we go to Foster? We get, with the new Big B's will be in our
Yes.
capture?
Yep.
And then, okay, but not the,
Let me think about
So the-
that, Sam.
so the movie theater project
It will be.
will be, so
Oh,
that's kind of, that's
definitely.
not included in this, right? This is how we
Yeah.
currently stand.
Big B's is.
I thought it went to
Yeah,
Foster
Big
Road.
B's- Big B's is in it, yeah, because it follows,
So-
the boundary follows the old Deer Lake Road.
Right, okay, so
Okay.
that's kind of a big deal, because that means now we're gonna have when the credit union gets built, their taxes are gonna really go up from the movie theater project, which we'll get a big capture out of, right? And the same with the new Bigsby Coffee, going from vacant land to,
Well, and the largest pieces are the parts of Stonewood, the front part,
right, that's not developed.
not developed, and that's a substantial piece. And the portion of the corner piece that is owned by McLaren, the rear portions, which is vacant, we've had some interest in that. Possibly for like some type of senior housing or some type of residential, and that's also in the district, so yeah,
So those are gonna skew these numbers
Yes.
significantly as
Oh, yeah.
those get finished and assessed. So if we get revitalization on Big Boys or KSI or any of those too, it's gonna be
correct.
huge incremental increases, because you're taking, the big tax increase, and then whatever increases, we get to capture, so that's, that's a lot off of those parcels, for sure.
Correct.
Yeah, so all these numbers are conservative,
Very
right?
conservative,
Yeah.
So, Steve,
on purpose.
quick question on your,
Okay.
on the chart here while we're talking about the original base that was being collected in 23, that 8,545,688. Was that the amount that the council approved for this year for it, or what does that figure represent?
These are
Oh,
still preliminary.
You mean under the?
The DDA capture
okay,
in
that's-
23?
That's the captured value, that's the difference, that's the difference between the base value
So
and,
that's just the value, not the dollars
no,
that,
the dollar amount is in the very last column, which shows you the actual dollars captured.
so we don't capture any in 23, it all belongs in 24 then, so
Correct.
you would only have the two collections in
Correct.
24.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure, because you had said 3, and I wasn't sure if we were gonna
Yeah.
move to part of that. Okay.
Correct. Because the reason being is that we did establish, let me think about this, we did establish 22 as the base year, but the plan was not adopted until this year. Actually, there may be I'm gonna have to check with Kim Fagley, but there may be, in our winter tax bill this year, there may be, that's when the capture may begin. But those taxes are not, those taxes frequently don't get paid until what, February 15th?
Yeah.
Well, it indicates the capture portions,
Yeah.
all being, except for a couple of them, winter collection, but then there isn't any under the fiscal year of 23, so may not, even though it's active, take it for 23 and just start it in 24?
Yeah, well, I don't think, I don't think we're actually gonna have the dollars available until next year.
2024.
Yeah,
And those estimates are for 24, based on the
Correct.
values projected for 24?
that's correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, David. My question is, Mr. Carlisle, about, right here, reading that on 2024, the DDA will begin to capture $122,000.
That's correct.
Is that include the transit millage that just passed? I mean, that's including that
includes
amount,
that.
or we gonna get more money from transit millage
No,
besides
that
that?
does include, that includes that.
How much money are we getting from the transit millage?
That is on the very last column. Starting
Okay.
next year, we will collect about $8,000 next year. And that will go up over the life of that's indicated here. It'll be a total of $436,000.
Okay.
But yes, we are collecting the transit millage. And so you're getting some of that back.
The transit millage right here for 2024, I see. Okay.
Okay, so it seems like the main things that we should talk about this evening is what are our meetings going to look like in the future? How often are we going to meet? And also, how are we gonna allocate these funds that we have in the beginning, right? And so on the following pages, there's a couple areas that we had outlined for branding, entryway, streetscapes, safety paths. And originally, we had talked about maybe branding would be a good objective to start handling in the beginning. I remember, Jose, when we first met for these meetings, it sounded like you guys were working on maybe a new logo for the
Yes.
township. Is that something that's still in the works? Have you guys decided on something?
Yes, it's almost done. Actually, just, that's why I talk a little bit longer. I got some of the, what we got. We have a group of people, including the public relation director and some other people. We have been talking with the branding company. We came down with 5 different logos. We narrowed it down, and that we're gonna have probably the next couple of weeks we'll come up with a logo.
Okay.
It takes time because it's a lot, input, and we see what is gonna work for us. So, but in 2 or 3 weeks we're gonna have the final
So
logo.
you do have a consultant you're working with, correct?
Of course, we approve somebody. Yes, it's some professional company of marketing that's helping us.
Okay.
We get the logo.
And how do you guys decide on that? You guys take a vote on that?
Well, since we have the final recommendation for this advisory group, we're gonna bring it to the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, very good.
Yeah, and so we do that, I mean, that's one of the ideas that we talked before, and I spoke with Trustee Morocco that, something that people in the community would like to see is we have finally sometimes our signage on Dixie Highway, welcome to Dixie, and thanks for visiting Dixie Highway, is something that we like to see. I mean, for many years it was postponed, and I think that now it's thanks to this board, and I think we can get accomplished that.
Right.
So,
'Cause it's-
Mr. Chairman, the reason
Yes.
I incorporated that is that, while it might be the board's decision, your board, this board's decision, to develop some separate identity for Dixie, because we are ultimately going to have signage, there might be some wayfinding signage, you might decide that you might want to do banners, I don't know, it's the things that you decide. The point being is it should be coordinated with and play off of the township's branding. And so it's, you may want to use the same consultant to be able to do that and budget for that.
Yeah. Yeah, something that we
Okay.
can look at it, yeah.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Sam.
So Dick, I mean, this is my first time on the DDA, but, obviously we got a lot to do.
Right.
So meetings are gonna be, is there subcommittee meetings, or is it always a meeting, or how does it work? So like, I personally think that the first thing we need to do is do anything visible on Dixie Highway, whether it's flags or banners or some visual thing that shows people that now we're doing something.
Mhm.
Right.
And that's the cheapest, easiest thing to probably do, is to attach something to every third or fifth light post or whatever that you would do to create the space, you know?
Right.
So that's, you know, that, I think, I mean, if, you know, it's gonna be a little bit, you know, the intersection at White Lake Road and Dixie is a huge problem and a huge project that we're not gonna address anytime, you know, get to conclusion anytime soon. So if we, you know, I think that as a board, we should determine, you know, what can we do to show that we're actually active? And then I'm not clear on, so ideally, the way that you guys got the CIA done was on some stuff is that you came up with a project that exceeded our annual intake, right? And then you borrowed the money from the township to do a project that would cost more than the money we had, and then the township automatically recoups the payment by,
Right.
because the taxes go through, the tax recovery goes through them. So that's the model, because you weren't here at the first meeting, just kind of as a summary, Dick probably could say, I'm sure could say way better, but, so we're not limited to what can we do for 121,000, which we're not even gonna have till the summer taxes are paid, if that's the whole capture of next year. So if we wanna do something right away, we need to come up with
That would be a
it.
decision you'll have to approach the township board about, though.
Right, that we would
So-
come up with a recommendation that we can, you know, we wanna do this, something on Dixie, it's gonna cost this much money, would you, it would not be out of character for them to loan the DDA the money, knowing
Yeah.
that the payment comes through them anyway in the taxes. So when we're thinking about things, we're not limited to, what is on this budget. Plus, the transit millage people, I was reading something about that. Somebody made, that there is transit millage money that the county was talking about giving to DDAs and other things that are on roads.
Where
Two
there's
that-
gonna be, yeah, where there's gonna be transit stops, I believe.
Right, but it could be additional, additional money we could get from the
Absolutely.
millage that's above our capture that we would ask them for. So in our situation where we're dealing with our busing and lack of busing and $1.8 million that they're charging us and we're getting, you know, very little in return, maybe they would be apt to throw us a bone if we had a comprehensive plan that had something to do with
And
that type of stuff.
that's why I suggest, Sam, that, I mean, when I talk about the branding, I mean, what you really, you need to have, before you just go off and start spending money on banners and stuff like that, is to have a design consultant. And I don't know what this firm's capabilities are, but essentially, you know, lay out a palette for you essentially of the things that you can be doing, a plan for those things, to incorporate, to design a sign, to recommend to you, banner images, all that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of thing that, that's the thing I think you need to do. If you're going to spend money on physical images, such as signs and banners, you first need to come up with a consistent plan, a theme or a plan recommended to you from somebody that's got some experience in that area. And I don't know if this who is the branding consultant?
I don't recall the name right
Okay.
now, but we're having a
I mean,
professional
if they're doing
people.
branding, would probably have this kind of experience, but I would, if they don't have this kind of experience,
All right.
there are people that do have this kind of experience that I would recommend to
I
you.
think they do, because we got bids from different companies that specifically
Okay.
do that
Yeah.
work, and then we agreed on
Right.
the one that would do it for us. So it
Well-
sounds like they were, I mean, that's their thing.
Okay.
Yeah, the company, we went to a bid, so, nobody, the township board didn't pick randomly somebody, we went for a process, we picked what is best fit for us, and yes, and we award that company.
So how,
Now,
yeah, so that's good.
Well, I've worked with a number of those kind of folks, and that's exactly what they do. We worked with a branding consultant in Southfield to design a whole image for their smart zone.
yeah,
That they were in partnership with Troy on, with the smart zone, and they had them do, the whole branding image for the smart zone. which is their industrial height, industrial,
Right.
right off 96. Anyway, the point is, that to me, budgeting money for that is one of the, the first priorities that you should have, because everything you do from there on out should incorporate some of that imagery.
Right.
I mean, if you're gonna buy benches, it should have,
The thing on it, right, we're trying to create a space, so you're gonna do that, you gotta have it on everything.
Correct.
You know?
But I also think that we need to entertain what they decide on for the township and
Correct.
incorporate that
Right.
into
Same.
ours.
Right.
So
Similar
it's a
about that.
two-step wing.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be exact, but it must be incorporated with
Right.
it.
But we can start the process to get the board's approval to loan us the money to move towards hiring that consulting company as a secondary part of the branding to do the DDA branding also. And we need to get that process started, because that's, just the fact, just to the need to get the township to give us the money to spend on the need for that, right?
Yeah, and the other thing that will do is it will give you an idea of the budget,
Mhm.
And I totally agree with what Kim said. Yet, I don't think you should reinvent the wheel. That mistake has been made way too many times.
Yep.
It should play off the township's imagery and maybe enhance it to, that special. And this is where, creative design consultants can provide you several ways to do that. I mean, more creative ways, certainly not, much more creative ways than I could recommend to you. And then out of that too, the things that, how you want that implemented, they can give you a really good budget. So really, perhaps the only thing that you are really talking about budgeting for right now is to get that consultant going and get that design plan with all that imagery stuff going for
Right.
you.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have the logo very soon, so we almost done, so. But back to what Sam was saying, that's how the CIA has been done this before. So you're right, Sam, because we have 122,000, doesn't mean we don't have, we're limited to do projects. We can actually submit a project and we can borrow money from the township or general funds, and we can move forward with that and pay them back later around, that's true. So,
And so generally, how this
Works.
has worked over the years with the CIA is, you as a board come to consensus about a direction that you want to go. This is where you can lean on Brian and I then to work with this consultant, have them get a proposal together of, we can describe what you're looking for, have them get a proposal together for your consideration, come here and do a presentation at your next DDA meeting, and that's how you get this kind of stuff started. Have them give a presentation, because, find out who they are, and, the supervisor can, make all these connections for it. And then, go ahead, Kim.
Sorry, do we have to go out for bidding on this? Is there a restriction on that?
I think, what's the limit now for consultant services? Is it 35,000?
35,000, yeah.
Yeah, if it's under 35,000, I think.
That's up to them.
Yeah, and I think because this is simply adding on, I mean, we'll certainly make sure that we're following the township's policy. But, especially since there's already a consultant on board, adding on to that probably shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, and be more cost effective.
Yeah.
I think so,
It's already
too.
all their stuff.
And their designs.
Right.
Right, I would think so too.
Okay, well, I'm on board with that.
To-
Because things take time, so the sooner we agree to do it, the better.
Okay.
Sure.
We would ask if we would need a motion to that effect, so it does go into the minutes.
Hmm.
And simply, direct your staff and consultants to speak with the branding consultant, get a proposal to you for some of these initial stages of branding, the DDA, and some of the types of measures that you could take, such as the sign design and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
we'll talk to them and see, I'll get the full scope of what they do, and come back to you with a recommendation and have them come do a presentation.
Okay.
Okay.
Before we make a motion, does anybody see anything else on here that we should focus on before branding, or is branding the top thing that we should focus on? I know, for me, I think that it is, but we are a body here.
It's a doable thing that's the first thing,
Right.
you know? I agree. Once we get that, then we can start to, get into bigger projects, you know?
Yeah, I agree. That's
Forrest?
something that we can.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead, Kim. Were you gonna say something?
I was just in agreement that, especially at this time of year,
Okay.
that the markings will hold up through the winter, and then the landscaping things down, and the streetscaping can come in next year when we'll also have more money.
For sure. You wanna make a motion, Jose?
Okay, so how will be the motion, Dick? We just,
I would just say that you direct township staff and your consultant to meet
Okay.
with the branding consultant, get a proposal for branding for the DDA that's, consistent with the township's branding image, and come back to the DDA at your next meeting, whatever that is, with that proposal. So just give us the opportunity to start with this, have a conversation with this consultant, tell them what we think you're thinking about, have them put together a proposal, and
Okay.
we'll go forward with that. And
Okay,
you're
I
not
make-
committed at that point until you actually meet with them and you're comfortable with what you see.
all right, well, I make the motion to look for a proposal for the marketing company, which is already working on the logo and branding for the township, to work, to give us a proposal for a new signage for a DDA. That's the motion.
Is there a
Good
second?
enough?
Yeah,
Good
that's
enough?
fine.
Okay.
I support that motion.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Nobody else? All right,
Okay.
awesome. Very good. So, next target item.
In a couple of years, this will become so easy to you.
Yeah. for sure. Next target item is, how often do we want to meet? Do we want to meet quarterly? That's a recommendation. Do we want to meet quarterly for DDA meetings? And we've talked about having subcommittees with, go ahead.
Sure, I think quarterly will be good. If we need a special meeting, we can request for a special meeting. If quarterly sometimes not enough, some member can request, hey, let's do a special meeting, we can call for a special meeting.
Yeah.
If we need to, but if we don't have to, I think quarterly should be okay.
I would say getting started, that would be the minimum. Like, I wouldn't even count the consultants meeting with the brander as our quarterly meeting. I would think we need to try to get that pushed through way faster
If we can call a special meeting for that.
than that type of thing. Because if you're only meeting every few months, and we're not gonna get very far very fast unless we then break up into subcommittee meetings, and those people are meeting every few weeks, trying to really get some stuff done. That's kind of what I've found out. So quarterly, I think would be, in my opinion, should be our minimum, but definitely with the intention that we have special meetings when things that we've identified at our quarterly meetings can be progressed faster by finalizing details at a special meeting in between that 3-month period.
Okay.
If that makes sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You need to publish an annual, we need to publish an annual schedule of the meetings.
Okay.
I mean, all boards and commissions have to do that for the township. So that can be posted on the website. And you have to be consistent in terms of, there should be some consistency in terms of the times, the days of the week and the times of those meetings, so that so that this is all about transparency, so that the public knows when you're meeting and want to, attend the meeting, this is when it meets, Whether you ever have anybody show up, I don't know. I'm just saying that, but that is what is required, and so you'll need to decide, a consistent time and, consistent dates, like the first Wednesday of the month on a quarterly basis or something like that. So at your first meeting in January, we will have a meeting scheduled for you that you will adopt, and that's what goes on the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
I'll make a
So,
motion.
Well, first can we talk about, I agree with you. I don't think that every meeting quarterly is enough. I think that if we meet quarterly and, you know, who knows, at that time, are we gonna decide on these subcommittees and then try to schedule those? And are we going to get away and, you know, I know we've had a DDA for a long time and it kind of fizzled out. So I don't wanna see that happen. I wanna make sure that we're staying on top of things and that we're staying organized and, you know, we're gonna have to have a plan. So do we want to meet more often than every quarter? Do we wanna meet every month? Is meeting
So-
every month too much?
Well, I believe until we really have direction with the logo and the branding issue, because right now we're making a lot of assumptions about it. And until we have that decided on and our proposal, we really can't hit the road running until we know what we've got. So if we make it on an agenda every quarter, then introduce the extra meetings once we get the information to keep it rolling, as you say. I think that would be more flexible based on the information we have to decide about.
Right.
Right. So I agree with you. I think if we have quarterly, we have already put in the schedule on the website for the public that we're gonna meet quarterly. But doesn't mean, I have to agree with you, we can call for a special meeting once a month from now on until we feel like, okay, quarterly is fine now. Because we're starting already.
However, I do
Yeah.
like the special meetings to be scheduled perhaps on the same day and time as we would the quarterly ones, so people can at least get that in their schedule
That
and
would
know
be
what to forecast.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
And when we first got here, Kim, you mentioned that 5 o'clock is tough for you because it's 5 o'clock. It's probably tough for a number of people if they have, you know, jobs.
Yeah, no, 5 o'clock, I mean, to me, 5 o'clock is good, but not for you. What about 6 o'clock? Okay, 6 o'clock.
Well,
Or
with
5:30.
6 o'clock is
I'm fine with
consistent
everybody else.
with everybody else.
Yeah.
Which is a plus, okay?
Yeah.
We have,
I didn't mean to call
we
you
have
out.
always met with the CIA at 5 o'clock because
would've-
that was what their preference was. It's totally up to you. You're the board, you decide when you want to meet.
I would suggest that we do Wednesdays, because we've got to have the boardroom available when we do it. We could get Jennifer Spiegel, the deputy supervisor, to find out how that falls quarterly on the schedule, which is what we just did with another board, so she can figure out which Wednesday of which month in that quarterly cycle works, so we can secure it.
Huh?
It's the third Wednesday.
Okay.
And then make that, and then do 6 o'clock on Wednesdays, but we can't confirm the actual days tonight until we can
Right.
confirm the calendar schedule for the quarter.
Right, because I have a TV Independence Township TV station sometimes on Wednesday, I think, so I don't wanna conflict
Well, I
that, but
think
yeah,
that the third Wednesday is,
yeah,
Generally, that's been available,
yeah,
No.
third Wednesday is in general available.
yeah.
but we can confirm that.
Yeah, we
So-
can confirm that.
Yeah, let's confirm
We're on
that.
schedules for
I
the
mean, we
rest
can
of the year.
Approve having quarterly at this point, but we need to confirm the dates.
Okay.
And I will get Jennifer and, Brian, you can work with Jennifer about
Yeah.
those dates and we can let you know. But yeah, 6 o'clock seems to be good,
Yeah.
quarterly seems to be good with,
Second
the
Wednesday of the
possibility.
month, this is,
Yeah.
we are booked here, so third Wednesday is probably the one that's open.
But
So, yes, we'll confirm that, and we will distribute to you, Brian, we will get a calendar for the next year of that quarterly schedule. If it's the third Wednesdays at 6 o'clock, then we will get that, and then, you know, you will have to adopt that formally at a meeting, at a next meeting. The other thing I wanted to mention to you about this issue of subcommittees, if you recall, I mentioned this to you during the whole plan adoption period, that the idea of having subcommittees was a great opportunity to bring in some of those people that were on the Citizens Advisory Committee onto a subcommittee. And you can do that. There's no reason why a subcommittee has to be consisting solely of you as board members. And you can't have more than 3 anyway, or you violate the Open Meetings Act. So you could have a couple of you plus a couple of subcommittee,
The residents.
citizens committee,
Right.
citizen advisory committees. It's a great way to keep them engaged in this process. And it's also a great way, and they all live in the district. It's a great way to begin to build, some support for what you're doing with people who live there. It's also a great way to identify future board members should you have vacancies in the future. So that's just a recommendation I make to you. And you don't have to make that decision tonight, but I do, I do suggest that you think about that, because I think it's a great way to get work done.
Go ahead, Kim.
Question on Open Meetings Act, though, if you don't have to have it in an opens meetings
Not
forum?
if you don't
so
have
just
a quorum of this
Of
body.
this board.
And because they are not a member of this board, you can have subcommittee meetings without a problem.
So technically, 3 of us could meet with 3
Correct.
residents and have a 6-member subcommittee. And they were very excited about participating at the meeting.
Mhm.
So, I think that's good. And they're gonna give us the perspective of living there.
Right.
Like, I don't know the issues with White Lake Road and Dixie like they do if they're pulling out every day, or what their input's gonna be, so.
And
Yeah,
that
I
was one
mean-
of the recommendations I made, because that is gonna be a real long-term slog. It really is going to be, and it's gonna involve, Supervisor and Brian and I haven't had a chance to talk about this, but that committee is going to need to also have some technical expertise offered to it. Either through our office or through one of the township engineers who has traffic experience, really needs it, because now we're talking about MDOT.
Yeah.
And that's gonna be a difficult path to navigate, and somebody with experience with MDOT would be very helpful.
Sure. We actually, Brian met with INDOT today, and we talked with INDOT this morning.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were very accessible, and they give us their contact info, and we have actually established good relationship this morning with them.
Yeah.
Actually, we're gonna be working fine with them. So thanks, Dick.
Yeah.
It's good.
So do we need to make a motion for our quarterly meetings, or are we gonna wait until we have a Wednesday picked up?
I think you could tentatively set that now, and then we will confirm it, and you will formally adopt it at your next meeting. But tentatively set the third Wednesdays on a quarterly basis, starting in January. Okay? So it'll be January, April, whatever.
July.
And I know October, there you go. I can't think of what the quarter
Sure.
is in between there. But set that as your quarterly meeting, tentatively set that pending review of the schedule, and then we will come back with a published schedule for you at your next meeting, which may be a special meeting. If we-
Hopefully before the end of the year.
Could be, yeah, if we move along with this branding consultant.
Yeah.
Well, we could have a special meeting before the end of the year, and you could approve that contract, and you could actually adopt that schedule then too. Wouldn't have to-
Last night, we adjusted the budget to make sure we had enough funding to have one more meeting this year for sure,
Okay,
besides
we-
tonight's. That's why
Yeah.
we beefed it up, so that we weren't gonna go back again and amend it in case this next meeting was to happen. So we're covered on that. So I'd like to think that if the branding's gonna be done in 2 weeks, that in the next 2 months, they could have a presentation to us.
Right.
Because it only took that long to do the whole entire branding for the township, and we're just asking them to tweak it a little bit to make the district distinctive, so
Right.
I think it's reasonable.
Yeah.
And we do have the budget, set up to do it for Dick to come again.
Yeah. All right. I just want to say a couple comments after. Before I forgot, I don't want to forget this. Last time I spoke, I told this board about the grant writer. So we get the bids, we open the bids, we're gonna come up with a recommendation very soon for the board of trustees to get the grant writer. Soon as we get the grant writer, it's actually companies, there's different companies they apply for this. So we got this, we're gonna have a grant writer available for us to apply for the grants. So this is gonna help us a lot too. So we can get different sources to get some money for the DDA. Also, every supervisor attend to all CAS meeting is a group of supervisors from North Oakland County, and we were sharing ideas how they get some revenues, extra revenues. For instance, Chris Barnett from Orion, he says he got $10 million from Lansing, from appropriation money. And I asked him, how you did that? It was a grant. He says, no, I got directly from appropriation without applying for a grant. I just got that money directly from the House of Representatives. Oh, that's important. How you get that? Because I have a lobby. We hired a lobby. He says we paid this amount of money and got $10 million for roads. Like, whoa, I like that idea. So now we put for a bid right now. It's currently on our website. Is right there. Actually, we are in the process. Excuse me. We're in the process to put a bid also for a lobbyist, to have a lobbyist that represent us for different type of issues to get some money, not just grants, but some others. That way, when the time comes, hopefully the board approve it, or township board approve this, we will be able to have a lobbyist that's gonna work for us as well, that if we need to reach some money from Lansing, we'll be able to get it from appropriations. So I'm working on that as well. So there's other ways to find some funding for us. Okay, that's all.
Good.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we would have our DDA meetings every quarter, tentatively every third Wednesday at 6 p.m., starting in January of 2024.
Okay, sounds
Second.
so cool.
Kim seconds. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Okay. Very good. There is one thing that's not on this agenda that I think we need to discuss. So we started out the DDA, we had a number of members that some of them have left since, and they may have had titles. And so, can we, Brian, do you have, I was trying to look through my notes of who had titles, who has stepped down. Do we have any, are you aware,
I believe
remember?
only the vice chair.
Only the vice chair needs to be, we need a new vice chair.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Nate Neiman was the secretary, I believe.
Correct.
that's
He's
fine.
still on the board.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, if you would.
So,
Vice Chair, okay.
does anybody
I
want
can-
to
Okay.
volunteer to be a
All
vice
right,
chair?
I'm gonna make a motion for Gus Tuna to be the Vice Chair of the DDA. There's a motion at the table. I need a second.
I support it.
Okay.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. All right,
Thank you.
congratulations. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Get you a gavel for Christmas.
The plan, I don't believe our new members have an actual copy of the DDA plan.
Mhm.
And you need to have that, you need to have a copy of that. If you want a hard copy, talk to
Yeah.
Brian. Otherwise, it is now posted on the website, the township's website. It looks like this.
You could print it.
It's the Development Tax Increment Finance Plan. So, you should be familiar with that, and,
Tax increment finance plan, they call it, the TIF,
yeah.
Okay.
to explain how we capture the.
In that
money.
document is, again, a lot of it is boilerplate, because by law it has to be. But the real meat of it is the center portion that talks about your vision, your goals, and the projects that you're gonna pursue. So that's the really, please read all of it, but that part is the most important part.
So when you go to our website, go to the business tab, and then the drop down, you'll see Downtown Development Authority. And that's where you'll find the whole section on the DDA.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. So the next agenda item is for public comment. I can't ever tell if anybody's on there, but
No,
this is
nobody's
the
on.
time for, okay. So is there any other comments that
I
anybody
just
would
want to
like to
make
make?
a
Yeah.
comment. My business is at the bottom of Waterford Hill, so as I drive north on Dixie, just a thing, the weeds that are growing through the curbs and sidewalks were 3 feet tall this summer. I mean, I called Dave McKee to see just kind of what does the safety path, and some of it's road stuff, some of it, who would be responsible for that? So even though it's worse with the abandoned buildings, but then just the fact that the weeds were, a couple feet tall between the curb and the sidewalks, and then the areas where like Gus's building and my building, we don't have a green space in the front because the building, my building's so close to the road because it was built in the 50s and then the road widened or whatever. And all of the, so they actually put pavers in the green space, acting like that would be a sidewalk, even though you,
Well, it was, yeah, it was really not for a sidewalk, it was just to do, because of just what you said, because
right, it's just weird because people obviously are gonna walk through my parking lot and the print shops, then the sidewalk picks up in front of the print shop again, so you got this lull. So I don't have green space to maintain in front of my building or to plant on or to, it's all just broken pavers and busted curb concrete thrown up on top, and
right.
it's almost like there's a spot in the township from the cemetery to Waterford that's just, not only is it, you know, is it older, but it's like the sidewalks are deteriorated, the weeds are grown through in the sidewalks and the roads, like, so if it isn't something that, and I talked to Dave about this, if it's not something that they pick up on the safety path part, and I'm not saying that it's them and they're not doing it, I'm just saying, if it isn't, we need, that little thing of keeping it so it doesn't look like you're running through an abandoned town is a huge visual thing, how, so even if it's a, you know, bi-monthly weed spraying or, you know, or just anything that we would have the ability, right, to subcontract a subcontractor to maintain, like the road right away, to keep it maintained or something, or,
I think we could figure out
A way to-
to construe that, yeah. In
Um,
that way. I mean, part of the plan does call for, you know, essentially replacement or infill of the entire safety path system. So there's no reason why, you know, I mean, obviously that's a long-term project, but I know Dave McKee has been working on that, has actually been working on getting grants to actually do that. So that would be, pardon me,
Through SEMCOG.
through SEMCO.
right, because on the other side of Dixie, they put the retaining wall in and all of that, and the split rail fencing and everything, but then on the, like where the flower shop and the old, I forget the name of that building, but that has the straw out front, and that, like that area there is just, like it's, you know, just like an abandoned, it's just, it was just crazy how,
You know, actually, we could talk to McKee about that and see what can be worked out
you know,
next year.
right, just because it's so visually noticeable that it's been neglected, and just like the busted concrete everywhere and the curbs, I don't know, you know, is that something that the DA could get a hold of the road commission and be like, we've got, you know, huge sections of curb that are just broke, that are just missing. You know, I don't know who makes their list, but if they're not, maybe if somebody notified them. So I'm just throwing out things that besides the branding, just little things that could be significant that we could work on in our subcommittee meetings or whatever to just show that some things happen, you know, get people excited about it.
Well, I mean, and this is where you just, you know, you basically, you need to, you know, again, think about this, come up with, you know, the working subcommittees that are going to address these various things. I mean, I can certainly do more thinking about that and, you know, help you with that. But, you know, a design committee to work with the branding consultant, to, you know, in between your meetings, you know, a traffic safety committee, you know, a maintenance and beautification. I mean,
Right.
whatever, you know, and that's pretty typical with a lot of downtown development organizations operate a lot through subcommittees. So,
Yeah, and talking with the retailers down there, like, you know, we gotta decide if we wanna promote like a shop Dixie theme or a, you know, patronize Dixie thing, you know, what is the, you know, what's gonna be the theme, because then we can get them to participate, and then you do, you know, building beautification contests and, you know, all that kind of stuff that we're fueling, you know, type of thing. Have you seen a beautiful building?
You just jogged my memory on something. So there's a number of like older signs too on Dixie Highway that it seems like they're like, I don't know, 20 feet in the air, and you know, it seems not modern. So that's one thing that I'd like to talk about in the future. as we, step forth is how do we approve getting more modern signage? Because I know, Cherry Hill just got bought out, they're probably gonna wanna put a new sign. There's other, Greg's is
The
bought out.
sign ordinance requires them to bring it into compliance.
Yeah, you can't,
Okay.
you can't touch a sign without,
And if it's
Bringing it down.
abandoned
Sure.
for more than 6 months, then we, through enforcement, get it removed. So that's what we've been working on. Cherry Hill, yeah, that they have it come in with a new logo and all, any face change
Mhm.
requires them to bring it into compliance.
Okay,
And we're actively enforcing one that's right near Sam's building that they put up without permits. They came and got their permit, it just expired yesterday, so we're gonna be ticketing them.
the big one next door to me, so there's a huge elevated sign in front of the print shop.
So they,
okay.
And then they have 2 elevated signs on that parcel, 2 big ones.
So what is the new
so they
compliance?
bring in the sign down?
Yeah, they'd have to bring it into compliance,
Which
No,
is what,
six-
ground
six-
level?
feet.
6
Yep.
feet high
Okay.
off the ground.
50 square feet in area.
Okay, so that already is compliance,
Yep.
okay. So
The
they just
big
need
boy
to get
sign
it
came
approved.
down and the KSI sign came down, and it changed the streetscape considerably. You noticed that those 2 signs were down. I did when they came down. And then the Shell Station sign's finally down here at the corner of Sashabon 75.
Never
So,
thought I'd see that happen.
Yeah, we've had a lot,
That
one on
was
Navy
huge.
Road, near Kroger, that was another tall pole sign that now is down.
Well, while I like the idea of the signs coming down, the crazy traffic and speed that Dixie Highway maintains all the time, we've got to be cognizant of the clear view and how much pulling out and pulling into traffic gets blocked by those lower signs. It's a
Yeah,
big
when-
issue. It looks nice, but then
Yeah,
you're like, I
yeah.
can't see to get out of that drive. And
Gus went to the zoning board of appeals for his, and that was a major consideration
big-
of the
big deal.
location.
yeah.
So
Let's make sure
is
that
there
it's clear
setbacks
vision.
from the road?
Yeah.
Is that part of the ordinance? Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alright. I will make a motion to adjourn.
okay, I'll second that.
Okay.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nobody? All right, very good meeting, thank you.
Got it down.
Thanks, Lou.
Yep.